Alabama had their A-Day this past weekend with the eyes of the nation upon them. And why, you ask? Because the standard in Tuscaloosa has been set way up here, way up to the sky. It is national title, it is SEC championship, or it is a failure of a season. And that's the reality in Tuscaloosa. And Nick Saban, like I said, has set that standard as high as it is. So we take our eyes, put them on the spring game, and just take a temperature. We're not making absolutes. We're not making definitive statements from what we saw in this spring football game, taking a temperature of what we saw. And what you and I were both watching with bated breath was, how are they going to look at the quarterback position? Couple of thoughts on this. Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, it feels like it's a two-horse race, right? Like those are probably the guys that are competing for that quarterback one spot. Dylan Lonergan, as a side note, I thought he looked really good. He could be a guy that ends up contributing for you if you really feel horrible about both these guys, which I don't think you should, to be honest with you. But he's a guy that you're excited about for the future. Okay, been on campus for like a cup of coffee. You feel good about him. Now, Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson showed some good things, showed some bad things. Jalen Milroe, 19 for 37, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 2 interceptions, had a rushing touchdown. Now, Ty Simpson, 12 for 26, no touchdowns, 1 pick. And the stats don't tell the whole story here. Also worth noting, Jalen Milroe was sacked 7 times. It's a spring game. Is he really getting sacked 7 times in a real game? I don't know. But here was my takeaway from this game when it came to quarterback play. I actually left a little bit more encouraged than I anticipated I would. And the reason for that is, when I watched both these quarterbacks slinging around, there was the inevitable amount of sloppiness. Jalen Milroe, the 2 picks, you hate to see that. Ty Simpson had a bad pick, you hate to see that. But when I watched them just throw the ball around the yard, there were a couple of moments where I was like, hey, we can work with that. Okay, now I've seen you can make that throw. Ty Simpson uncorked one deep down the left sideline, perfectly over the outside shoulder to his receiver, and just ended up being dropped. But that was a big boy throw. That was a big-time shot by him. Jalen Milroe, he had a couple of nice throws. One that was to Law, I believe, right over the corner, right in front of the safety, back shoulder, big boy throw. Like, at the very least, I've seen both these guys make plays that I don't know we knew they could make going into the spring football game. Like, now I have proof that Jalen Milroe can make all the throws. Ty Simpson, I believe, can make a lot of the throws. For both these guys, the million-dollar question will remain. Can you do it consistently? And that's great you can make the big boy throw, but we can't have 2 picks. That's great that you can put it over the outside shoulder, but we can't be late on that corner route and have it intercepted by the safety. Like, that's not what we need here at Alabama. That's not winning football. I do think the offensive line will have a more physical identity this coming season, if that makes sense. I think it'll be a little less RPO-centric. It'll be a little bit more, hey, we're Bama, we're coming downhill at you. So that should help things with the quarterback play. I'm a little bit encouraged by the fact that I saw them do some things that I didn't know they could do going into the spring game. Consistency, that is going to be the key. If I had to pick a leader in the clubhouse right now, I am probably with the majority of the group right now saying Jalen Milroe, I believe, will be starting quarterback 1 if the season were to start today. Now, it's April, so the season doesn't start today, so we'll keep a pulse on this. But if I had to pick a leader out of the spring game, it would be Jalen Milroe. Alabama fans, we talk college football here every single day. Talk about your Crimson Tide a whole lot. Make sure you're subscribed right here. Make sure you're locked in. We want you a part of this here, all right? Also, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on the gram at JD Pickell. Just appreciate hearing from y'all. Now, another takeaway I had from this game. Listen, Justice Haynes, the running back, the true freshman running back who's early enrolled, as well as Caleb Downs, true freshman safety. Neither Caleb Downs nor Justice Haynes looked like freshmen in that spring game. You could make an argument Justice Haynes was the player of the game. 3 touchdowns on the day. Caleb Downs looked so comfortable out there. It was ridiculous. Like, if you didn't tell me either of those cats were freshmen going into the game and I just had no idea, I was like, hey, those guys are going to contribute for you this coming season. Hey, those guys could be NFL draft picks here in the future. They look good, man. I mean, heck, Caleb Downs is a safety. He's handling some punt return duties during spring game. Now, I don't expect him to be your punt returner, but the fact that you trust a true freshman to trot out there and try to gauge a ball coming in the air down at him with 10 to 11 other grown men running full speed at him, and for him to do a pretty good job at it, like, I'm encouraged by Caleb Downs' performance. I'm encouraged by Justice Haynes' performance. If that is the future in Tuscaloosa, the future is extremely bright. As long as Nick Saban's the head coach there, the future is bright, but you hear what I'm saying. Caleb Downs also had an interception at the end of the half that you feel good about. Just comfortability from both of them. Neither of them looked like freshmen from the eye test of how they've developed physically. Neither of them looked like freshmen with how they played comfortability-wise. The game didn't seem too fast. They didn't seem overwhelmed. No deer in the headlights, which they very much so could have had in a spring game. It's their first time ever being out in a crowd like that and playing in a spot like that with the country watching them. It would have made sense for them to be nervous and for them not to play well. Did not see that from either of them. Absolutely no flinch in Justice Haynes or in Caleb Downs. Now, the other thing we got to talk about here, another new face, Malik Benson, was quiet for the majority of the day, and that was a little bit disappointing as an Alabama fan, because you're saying, man, we'd heard so much about Malik Benson and what he was going to do when he, took the field, and he was potentially going to be our guy this coming year. We've heard so much good things about him, and then you got towards the end of the game, and there was one drive where it was just the Malik Benson drive, where I think everybody said, oh, okay. That's what he must have been doing behind closed doors. That's why there's so much juice around number 11. Had one drive, I believe, it was just like throw the ball to Malik Benson on one, ready, set, hut. And he had like 4 catches, ended with the 4th catch being a touchdown from Jalen Milroe. He looked really good to me. I know it was one drive. I know it was a small sample size. He looked really good to me. And I wholeheartedly believe will, at the very least, have a very real chance to be your wide receiver 1 when the time comes for that decision to be made. Like size, speed, ball skills, I was encouraged by what he did during the spring game. Would have liked to see a little more frequently, but still, I saw enough to be like, yep, that's what I need to see. Now, defensively, it's hard to really gauge this in the spring game because they're playing such a vanilla scheme, and the offense has had 14 practices to practice against them. But the thing I was encouraged by was just the way they reacted, the speed the defense was playing with. Because we've talked about this a lot. You and I both know this. It will never be a matter of personnel or talent for Alabama defensively. It will never be a matter of, man, do we have the guys to get done what we want to get done? They recruit as good or better than anybody in college football. Just the reality of having your GOAT as the head coach. You are going to have the players you need to execute your scheme. But what we saw last year, it just felt sort of funky. It never felt like they were totally clicking defensively. And you kind of ask yourself, why is that? And you can take different guesses of maybe there was too many thinking points in for the defense. And when you think too much as a football player, like I can say from experience, you don't play instinctively. I saw a defense playing extremely instinctively during that spring football game. I saw guys flying around. I saw them playing fast. I saw them getting to the football with bad intentions. Like, I was encouraged because it felt a lot more like the old Alabama defenses we've seen in the past. Hey, we're coming for you. Good luck to you, was how it felt previously with Alabama defenses. Only the spring game, again, only just the temperature of it, but I was really encouraged by the speed they played with. And I mean, going back to Caleb Downs, he embodied that as well as anybody. I mean, there was a swing pass out, I believe it was to the left sideline, and he just came up with bad intentions, took down the running back for a loss, or at least no gain. To do that at the safety position, you're not thinking too much. And if you were thinking, it was on the front end installing that scheme, and now it's clicked for you, you're able to just play with great instincts. I use Caleb Downs as an example. You could go down the line here and point out a lot of different positions on this Alabama defense that played fast, physical, instinctually. If they can play that way and be assignment sound on the back end and not allow the big play, they're going to be in really good shape this coming season. And that's going to give the quarterback time to get his legs under him, figure out his role in the offense when it comes to the fall. Like, it's going to be overall just a huge net positive for this Alabama team. So I was encouraged by what I saw on the A-Day. Was it perfect? Of course not. You want to know why? Because it's practice 15. We got all summer to get better. We'll get in the playbook, throw some routes on there. A lot of player-led practices kind of deal. Get into fall camp. It's not going to look like what you saw during the spring when he gets to the fall, but I saw a lot to build off of. So be encouraged if you're a Crimson Tide fan. locking in with us right here. We talk ball here every single day. We are live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. That video will be listed under the live tab on this YouTube channel. So go ahead, find that video when it's listed, hit the bell to make sure you don't miss it. And we'll see y'all there. Trey Yannity doing the heavy lifting. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.